Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? So the people who are angry with Donald Trump, who don't like Donald Trump, are now upset with the fact that Mr. Harvey went to go see Donald Trump. Especially L Hughely came out very upset, very angry, very emotional about it. What's interesting about that, Mr. Hughley, is that you're very emotional about the fact that this man, yes, he said a lot of things about the Obamas. He said he stirred up a lot of racist people he got them up in arms and that sort of thing. But what I find is that you do pretty much the same thing. You do the same thing because what you do is you stand on the sideline and you start yelling and screaming about, the injustice and the racism, and you start pointing fingers at other people instead of trying to build a bridge. Last night I was watching the NFL Prime show, and Denzel Washington said something very interesting. He said that he's an ordinary guy with an extraordinary job. Mr. Hughley, you're an ordinary guy with an extraordinary job. Your job allows you to be relevant. In fact, we are all ordinary people. Some of us have jobs that are more extraordinary than others, and Mr. Trump is about to have the most extraordinary job in the world. But in essence, we are all irrelevant. We're irrelevant. But then our jobs can make us relevant. And right now, you are utilizing your ability, your stance to make yourself relevant again. But the relevancy that you have is the fact that you are stirring up the racism on the opposite side, on the black side. You're pointing at a man and saying that, I'm appalled that you went and you visited with this man, as if he went running to him because the Trump transition team called him. No, it was the Obama transition team that called him. And because Steve Harvey respects him, he went. But here's the most intriguing part. If you actually listen to what he said, that Steve Harvey said that he went. He didn't go and his mind was already changed. He went there because he still believed in the same thing he talked about during the campaign, but he went there because he was requested to go there by Obama, and he went with the hopes that the things that they were able to accomplish would actually make a difference. You see, if you want to build a bridge, then you can't just stand on the opposite side of the street and just yell at people because they don't agree with you or they have done things. You can't stand there with unforgiveness in your heart and say that you will never forgive somebody no matter what they do, because what if the things that the Trumps do in the next 4 years is completely opposite of what you believe and what you have seen? Will you stand there and only pick out the negative, find the brown in the room, never seeing the red? No. You have unforgiveness in your heart. You won't do it. And you're trying to make your irrelevance relevant. You see, the thing about it is that Steve Harvey said that he was still in a wait and see pattern. He said he met with Ben Carson because Steve Harvey's concerned about the housing situations in places like Chicago, where I don't know, I think he's from there. But the fact of the matter is, he said that he went there because he's willing to give it a chance. They're willing to see if some change can be made, if something can happen. And if you listen to what he said, the first thing they did, which is this is a part of negotiation and sales, is that you go to see what common ground you may have. They talked about golf. They talked about people that they know. They set up a foundation of commonality first, which is what you have to do. There was a story a little while ago about a man who went around making a point to meet and befriend different KKK members. And when he did that, they found common ground and the racism diminished or ceased. You have to find common ground, but you have unforgiveness in your heart, so you can't find it. You can't find it. Yes, Trump said a lot of stuff that I disagree with. He did, but now he's going to be president. Unless something changes, he's going to be the president. You can either fight against that. You can either just continue to build the animosity between black people and white people on your end, what you're doing, or you can find a bridge. You can find a way to hold him more accountable. And what I find most interesting is that people who stand up like you, who say what they have to say, who get their, panties in a bunch, you'll say that about an easy target like the president. Because when Bush was in office, you say something about that. And I'm not saying I'm in agreement with everything Bush did either, but you'll stand and you'll say something about that. But what you won't say is anything about is how the black church takes in billions of dollars a year, but yet they are not promoting the businesses within their church, and then having those businesses in their church hire people who go to that church, so that you're building financial and economic power within that community. No, the church sits into a dilapidated community, not doing anything more than just promising hope instead of giving them the ability to fish. The church has the power to give each community that they're in the ability to fish by promoting the businesses in their church, and then having those businesses hire the people who go to that church. The church and the people will then be able to fish. and they'll be able to feed themselves. The black politicians who are in local communities, they come and they glad hand, they make their speeches, they say what they want to say, but then what are they doing to build the educational system, to build the financial system in that community? Because year after year after year, yeah, they may have their little job fairs here and there, but year after year, their communities continue to stay the same or get worse. But they promise hope over and over again. Mr. Hughely, call those people out. You want to call out people that affect the black community in a more immediate situation? Those are people who affect the black community in more an immediate situation. Not Trump, not Obama, not Bush, not the Clintons. Those people don't affect the community as much as you want to give them props, but they're an easy target for you to stand there and make yourself relevant in your irrelevance. You're an ordinary guy with an extraordinary job. You have an opportunity to build bridges, but instead, you're just digging a deeper hole. You're just digging a deeper hole. And for all those other people who now just saying that, oh, these people are cooning because they're going up and they're meeting with Trump. First of all, they have the right to meet with whomever they want to meet with. Second of all, is it their fault that people idolize the athlete, they idolize the entertainer, they idolize the business person who makes a bunch of money? Is it those people's fault that we will idolize these people? And what world do you live in where you haven't seen politicians cozying up to these people? Trump's doing it, the Obamas did it, the Clintons did it, the Bushes did it, the Carters did it, the Reagans did it, the Kennedys did it. They all do it. They all know that because people will idolize singers and rappers and sports athletes and business people, we idolize these people, so they know that if they can get those people to back them, that you will then start changing your mind and swaying towards them. Just like you right now, Mr. Hughely, you making your comments, those people who idolize you will now join in on what you have to say, not because they thought of it themselves, not because that's their line of thinking, but simply because you're an ordinary guy who has an extraordinary job that they have now idolized. You have made your irrelevance relevant, and they will idolize that and follow suit. That's the problem. So really, it ain't you, it's the people. It's the people. The people need to recognize that in order for us to have any kind of growth in this world, we got to build bridges between one another. When the racist guy comes at you, you can't, defend yourself. I'm not saying allow somebody to hurt you. Protect yourself. I'm not saying let somebody take all your finances. But what I am saying is that if you can find common ground, then find the common ground and see if you can build a bridge. You don't have to come into kumbaya and all that. But if you can find common ground, then we can have a more peaceful transition, have a more peaceful life. Then everyone's greatness can be recognized and we can all grow and become the greatest versions of ourselves. But as long as you stand on your side of the street, just yelling and screaming, and holding unforgiveness in your heart, then guess what? The world ain't changing, man. It ain't. And it's time for us to stop doing that. And it's time for us to hold accountable the people who we truly should be holding accountable. And those are the ones directly in our community.